The LSU offense punches back. We've got a spring practice report. It's Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. LSU was back on the practice field Tuesday for their 10th workout of spring practice. And this was a day where the offense, this will bring a giant collective sigh of relief from the LSU collective fan base. It was a day where the offense punched back. Saturday, when LSU scrimmaged in Tiger Stadium for more than 2 hours, if you're an everydayer and you caught our practice report, or anybody's, quite honestly, in the media who was there, we all saw the same thing. It was a day that the offense struggled. In 19 possessions, they had 6 turnovers, a missed field goal, 5 interceptions. It was a very bad day offensively for LSU. Lane Kiffin said as much. So on Tuesday, the Tigers practiced. Lane Kiffin met with reporters after, and he called Saturday discouraging in the moment, the lack of explosive plays, how poor the offense performed in that scrimmage. Well, this was a day where the offense bounced back. So I'm going to go through my practice report now. The change is that Lane has invited the media to watch the rest of spring practice. He's open to the full practice for the remainder of spring. So we hope that sticks, but we were able to go out there on Tuesday and stay for about 2 hours and watch the team practice. They began with their quick 11-on-11 period, went to individuals. We saw a couple of team periods, short yardage goal line, special teams. There was another short yardage period, and then the 7-on-7, and then finally an 11-on-11 period to wrap up practice. So I'll hit the high points here so as not to bog you down. But what you need to know is this was a day where the offense shined over the defense. They outshined the defense. It did not start that way. So if you've caught our practice reports, when they come outside to begin practice, they run what they call a quick 6. It's a quick offensive series. The ones against ones on one field, the twos against twos on another field, just very quick. They run 6 plays. Well, they didn't make it to 6 plays. They ran 3 plays. This was the sequence. By the way, Husan Longstreet was running with the first team on Tuesday. So that was a switch. Landen Clark had been running with the ones. And like we saw in the scrimmage, Clark had 5 series with the ones, and Longstreet had 4 series with the ones. So they have been running interchangeably just from what we've seen. But this was the first time that we've seen this quick 6 period where Longstreet took the first team reps. I don't read anything into that, just that both guys are getting reps. First down, wide receiver screen to Winnie Watkins, drop. Second down, wide receiver screen to Winnie Watkins, same play on the other side, tackle for loss. Third play, Husan Longstreet flushed to his right, rolling, heaves a ball downfield about 40 yards to absolutely no one other than Ty Benefield, intercepted. They blew the horn and moved on. It was done after 3 plays. It was not good. And given the lingering feeling from Saturday, you're going, man, this is a mess offensively. But it didn't stick that way. They went to their individual periods, and in the individual periods, it was good to see that Deuce Geralds and Richard Anderson were participating with the defensive line. Whit Weeks was present, not participating, but wearing shoulder pads, interestingly enough. So did not have a helmet on, but had shoulder pads and his jersey on. So he's trying to be involved, and it's great to see him out there. I did not watch the offense during the individuals. I went and watched defense. I watched Blake Baker work with the safeties and a lot of that sort of work there. Our colleagues, Chris Marler and Hunt Palmer over at LouisianaSports.net, watched the offense, and they did chart a lot of that. If you want to go get the full free practice report at LouisianaSports.net, you can. There was a lot of one-on-ones with the offense, with the receivers and the receivers and the DBs in one-on-ones. Haven Finney had a nice win against Corey Barber. Jackson Harris, the Hawaii transfer, had a win against P.J. Woodland on a double move, beat him deep. And on the final rep, Woodland had really good coverage on the sideline, but Harris caught it up high, but was out of bounds. So some nice plays there in the one-on-ones. You can go get all the charts of that. There was also some offensive defensive line one-on-ones that they charted if you want to catch those there. What I thought also was notable is they went to an inside run period. So this was a period, it was 11-on-11. and they were the design of the period is to work on running between the tackles. Okay, these are not sweeps, toss plays. There's no play action. It's 11 on 11, and they're running the ball between the tackles, and everyone knows they're running the ball between the tackles, and that's the intention here. I found it interesting that when they went short yardage, the defensive tackles were Stefylan Green, the Clemson transfer, and Richard Anderson. So you went with a little more size on the interior in this period. And the order of the running backs in the short yardage period: Dilin Jones, the running back from Wisconsin, we've talked a lot about in these reports, went with the ones. Then Caden Durham, then Harlem Berry. And oh, by the way, in this period, Dilin Jones, in the inside run period, Dilin Jones scored 2 touchdowns. The first, he hit a spin move on an approaching defender and got into the end zone. And then on the final play that he had, he took up the middle, bounced, got it to the right edge, and hit the corner and scored a touchdown. Dilin Jones is going to have a role in this offense. Listen, Harlem Berry had a beautiful run during one of the team periods, about a 40-yard scamper during one of the team periods. It was when they went short yardage later on, because when they went short yardage goal line, they would run plays from about midfield or the 40-yard line. 3rd and 1. Actually, the sequence, I'll tell you exactly what it was. They went 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, and then they went from about midfield, and then they went down and ran 1st and goal from the 5, 2nd and goal from the 2, 3rd and goal from the 1. So that's how they ran. Well, when they ran that sequence, Harlem Berry had about a 40-yard touchdown run. I mean, he hit the hole and boom. Then it was 2 defensive backs trying to converge, and he just split them and made it to the end zone. Like, Harlem Berry is going to be great. My point is, Dilin Jones is built physically different than all the other running backs. Like, you're going to see it whenever you have the opportunity to see 13 in the uniform. They have him listed over 6 foot, I think 215, 220 pounds. He just physically is different than the other backs, and I think will certainly be utilized in those short yardage situations, and will most certainly have a significant role. Scored twice, and that's it. And they lined up at the 10-yard line. So this period started at the 10. So he's taking handoffs in short yardage between the tackles from the 10-yard line and scored twice. Like, he's going to have a role. So when they went from the inside run period to the short yardage goal line period, they switched the quarterbacks. Landen Clark ran with the ones. This was interesting because this is where we got to see the jumbo package. And Lane Kiffin joked about this because he was asked about it afterwards to say, yeah, this is the downside of letting you guys see practice. So Deuce Gerald's was in there in the jumbo package and actually did take a handoff. When they went twos, it was Zach Weeks who was there in the jumbo package. Now, Zach Weeks did not take a handoff, but lined up in the backfield. So, the offense wears white at practice, the defense wears purple. So it's interesting when you see someone in purple on the offensive side of the ball, and that's what this was. So this isn't a surprise. Like 2 years ago at Ole Miss, J.J. Pegues, the big 320-pound defensive lineman, took handoffs in short yardage situations. So Lane is always looking for an advantage, always looking at skill sets and what he can use. And so it's not surprising that he's going to have a jumbo package. I think we just learned that Gerald's is one of the guys getting a look there. I mentioned the Harlem Berry touchdown run. Interesting also in the short yardage goal line period. The first play, this was disappointing. So I told you they ran a 3rd and 2 from about the 40-yard line. Landen Clark was at quarterback, and Jackson Harris, number 4, the receiver from Hawaii, is going down the left hash, and he has P.J. Woodland beat. And Landen Clark just overthrows him. So they immediately take Landen Clark out and put Husan Longstreet in to go with the ones. So on 4th and 1, they handed the ball off to Dilin Jones. He got 2 yards. Again, short yardage run, music to your ears. Like, line up, everyone in the stadium knows what you're doing, and you still get the yard. Beautiful. So then they went down to the end zone, like I told you, 1st and goal. It was incomplete in the flat for Zach Grace. On 2nd and goal from the 2, the run got stuffed, and that was a jumbo package play. And then on 3rd and goal from the 1, they handed it to Dilin Jones, and he got in the end zone. By the way, with the 2, this is also, I think, notable. Stacey Gage, the running back transfer from UCF, scored 3 times in this period with the 2s. So if you're looking at, okay, we know Berry and Durham are back, but they brought in 5 transfer running backs. So who are the guys making a move? Well, Dilin Jones, number 13 from Wisconsin, is number 1 among that mix. But Stacey Gage is getting more and more of a look as well, climbing with the 2. So in this second team period, we got to see Stacey Gage score 3 times. He also had a touchdown Saturday with the 3s where he was right. We bounced one to the right pylon and got in the end zone. So a couple of guys keeping an eye on that are sort of ascending, it would seem. So after the short yardage goal line situation, we saw 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. And the offense continued to shine. I'm going to tell you who the stars were when we come back and continue here. It's Locked on LSU, your team every day. It's tax time. But for a lot of us, the old way of doing taxes is a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient, sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth, wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. And just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax expert works to get you every dollar you deserve, while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in, meeting a real person, walking out, knowing your taxes are being handled right. So, head to turbotax.com/local to find a store near you and to book your appointment. turbotax.com/local. The NBA playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action. Here's what I like about it. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. The app makes it so easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, matchups, all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. So head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. So after the short yardage situation broke, I should note one more thing. We got to watch, there was a special teams period. Both Grant Chadwick and Hayden Craig continued splitting the punting duties. It was a really big day for Hayden Craig. The Florida transfer, and man, he was impressive with some high booming kicks. We got to see the kick returners again. They were Caden Durham and Harlem Berry were working, interestingly enough, were working with kick returners. The others were Corey Barber. Forgive me, I am still learning the roster. So Corey Barber, who's wearing 83, and 25 was the other. That would be Rod Gainey, another running back who was with the kick returners. The punt returners were Winnie Watkins, Trey Wilson, Najor Granger, Jayce Brown, Jabari Mack, and Dilin Jones. Those are the ones who worked as punt returners. And we did watch, we did see Trey Wilson drop 2 of the punts. So not a great look if you're there back there. And the first thing I do is catch the ball. He dropped a couple. But Wilson more than redeemed himself when they went 7-on-7. As a matter of fact, he was one of the stars, I thought, in the 7-on-7 period. So this is how the 7-on-7 shook out. The ones ran 6 plays. The 2s ran 6 plays. The 1s ran 6 plays. The 2s ran 6 plays. So 1s and 2s each ran 12. They went 6, 6, 6, 6 is how they went. The very first play of the 7-on-7 was really indicative of how this was going to go. On the very first play down the right sideline, Jayce Brown burned DJ Pickett for about a 60-yard touchdown, maybe longer. We're standing in the north end zone, and they were moving from the south to the north. So it was the opposite side of the field, but coming toward us as we were watching this. First down, really good indicator, a really good sign there. The other thing that really surprised on this day was the speed with which the offense worked, had the defense on their heels, and there were some real coverage busts. There was one throw, by the way, Husan Longstreet with the 1s, Landen Clark with the 2s in this period. Again, so they were interchangeable throughout the day, but Longstreet took more of the reps with the 1s on this day than did did Landen Clark. There was a beautiful catch deep down the right sideline by Trey Wilson. And man, you can see his catch and run ability. The explosive speed is there. There were 2 incomplete passes in that period. One was an incomplete pass intended for Corey Barber with DJ Pickett in coverage. The other was a ball deep down the right sideline where it was Philip Wright had beaten PJ Woodland, and the ball was thrown into the end zone, and it went off his fingertips, just past it. I mean, off his fingertips, just a matter of inches from being a touchdown. So that was one of only 2 misses. So Longstreet in the first possession was 3 for 5 with a touchdown. Then Landen Clark goes out there with the 2s. He goes 4 for 6. The first play, reception down the left sideline to Jackson Harris. The defense was nowhere to be found. Complete coverage bust in that situation. He did throw wide of Winnie Watkins on second down, completion in the right flat, and the defense left Jayce Brown alone. And it's just a dump off to Jayce Brown, who then ran about 50 yards. The defense just left him alone. This was a day. There was a throwaway, a comebacker where beautiful catch by Trey Wilson beating Jakeem Jackson coming back to the ball. And then the 6th play was Trey Wilson again on an out route beat Aiden Hall for about a 20-yarder. So this was a day where inside, out, middle, long, coverage busts. In the 7-on-7s, the offense shone. The way that it totaled up in the 7-on-7 over again. So in the 7-on-7 period, as the stats went out, there was the ones with Husan Longstreet were 8 for 11. Landen Clark with the 2s was 9 for 12 in the 7-on-7 period. And I should have mentioned the second team period of the 7-on-7 with the 1s. Roman Mothershed had a long catch and run on a slant. Slant, caught about the middle of the field, busted up the left sideline, foot race to the end zone. A really nice day. Malachi Thomas had a really nice catch over Aiden Hall. It was a badly thrown ball by Landen Clark, but Malachi Thomas is a big target and came up with a great catch. On the last play, Clark almost threw an interception. This was the one bugaboo. Zach Weeks jumped the route intended for Corey Barber. It was almost intercepted, but it bounced off his hands. I guess that's why he plays linebacker and not tight end, as the joke would go. And then they wrapped up with a team period where the 1s ran 6 plays and then the 2s ran 6 plays. Harlem Berry had a run. The second down was a touchdown where Jayce Brown was uncovered, caught the ball deep left sideline, walked into the end zone. The third play was a Landen Clark roll. Again, this was Landen Clark with the 1s again, so they switched. Landen Clark rolling to his left, checks down to Dilin Jones, who gets a big catch and run on a big gain on a check down. Dilin Jones had a run. They ran a quarterback draw. And then the final play of the scrimmage, or of the 11-on-11 period for the 1s, this is where the defense did redeem itself. Jordan Ross, the defensive end, 5-star from Tennessee, dropped into coverage and intercepted Landen Clark out in space. It was a beautiful athletic play where he dropped, read the throwing lane, just elevated to his left, and came down with an interception. Seeing a big man like that in space come down with a pick was pretty awesome to see. It was a great day for the offense. You still want to see the defense have some of those types of moments. It was a jaw-dropping, wow, that's why that guy was a 5-star, one of the top athletes in the country. The 2s, the final play, 6 plays, and this was with Husan Longstreet at quarterback. LaFleur had a reception on a crosser. J.C. Anderson, the freshman tight end, this might have been an ill-advised pass because there were 3 defenders around J.C. Anderson, and Longstreet just put it up. And J.C. Anderson rewarded that trust and came down with a reception in traffic. Now, he's the freshman tight end. He's wearing 87. He's listed at 6'6", 256, and he needed every bit of his leaping ability and wingspan to go up and get that. But you know your receiver, you trust him, you put it up. Jackson Harris had a catch. There was a short run, another catch by LaFleur, and then it ended with Husan Longstreet actually took off and ran downfield. Probably would have been holding on the right tackle if this were a scrimmage situation. But it ended where Longstreet, this was non-contact, and he ended up getting pinballed between 2 defenders downfield. But maybe a little bit of frustration by the defense on a day where the offense really had their number. So I'd say it this way. Lane Kiffin, Charlie Weis, brilliant offensive guys, and everywhere they've gone, offense has followed. And up until this point in spring, we've only been able to watch pieces, small snippets of 11 on 11 periods. The biggest sample we got was Saturday, and that was a bad day for the offense. This was a day that was much better for the offense. This was 10 practices in. They've got 5 more to go, and they're going to have summer and fall camp and then get into game week. And you're still 8 months away from playing a football game. So they have a lot of work to do and still a long way to go, and a lot of opportunities still for growth. But days like today were really encouraging because it showed you all the things that make Lane Kiffin's offense special. The ability to distribute the ball to a lot of different guys, the ability to move quick, to create coverage busts by the defense, even very talented players, to see the ability and agility from your quarterbacks. And you're doing this without your starting quarterback, something else Lane Kiffin alluded to when he met with reporters after practice, when he said, Charlie, meaning Charlie Weis, and I said, we talked about this, knowing that when they took Sam Leavitt, they knew they were not going to have Sam Leavitt in spring. And so the offense might look a little like this. And it has been disjointed offensively at times. But Tuesday was a really, really good bounce back day for the LSU offense. Tigers will be back on the practice field Thursday, and barring a change, Lane Kiffin's invited us to watch the whole thing. So we'll be back on Thursday with a full practice report whenever it wraps up out there on the Ponderosa. So if you haven't done so yet, if you're on podcast, please make sure you subscribe in your favorite podcast app. Rate us, leave a review. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you're notified whenever we post a new video. And let a friend know if they love the Tigers. We got you every single day for Locked on LSU, your team every day.